Morning, good afternoon, good evening, everybody. Welcome to this episode of the Note Closer Show. As always, Scott Carson, excited to be here with you today. And I want to thank you for listening, as always. But today's episode, I want to focus on a couple breakthroughs some of my students have had lately. And they've had breakthroughs struggling with something I know that everybody struggles with at first. Why does everybody struggle with it? Because it's not something you're just born with. It's something that takes skill, it takes some talent, it takes some coaching, takes some repetition, and a lot of times it can be very intimidating. And what am I talking about? It's not talking to people. It's literally talking about raising capital and that getting your first investor to fund with you or the first investor to pledge funds with you is one of the things that's scary, especially if you've never had those money conversations with anybody before. It's also very liberating because you realize if you did it once, you can do it again and you can repeat the process. You can replicate your marketing, replicate what your conversations are, replicate what you did to get that person to say, hey, I want to invest with you. And I'm really proud of one of my students who's just got his first investor pledge 50 grand with him. She's also got an insight into a very wealthy network of individuals that if it goes well with her on a deal, he'll have more funding than he knows what to do with. I also want to give a shout out to one of my other coaching students, Larry. He's done a great job. He's got more money than he can invest with right now. So he's got, $1 million to $2 million in private capital pledge, and he's looking for deals actively to fund. But he's taken what we've taught and replicated. So I highly encourage you to go back and listen a little bit to the previous episode before last, where we talk about using and contacting self-directed IRA investors and that process. And that's one thing that Larry has done really well with, is connect with investors around his market by targeting IRA investors. But I want to take it a different approach, an easier approach, I think, in a lot of cases. And that's what my student Scott has done. And Scott didn't have a database. And our biggest asset as a real estate investor, entrepreneur, for everybody out there is your investor database. It's your contact list. It's your list of business cards from attending conferences or summits or RIA club meetings, and putting it into a usable form, whether it's Excel that you can just copy paste and put the emails into a BCC through Google or Yahoo. I don't recommend that. Or that you can upload to like keep.com or something else that you can send an email blast out and see who opened it, who clicked on what. But here's the thing, it comes out to it. A lot of us as new investors, we don't know what to say, or we suddenly don't make offers on stuff because we don't have that money in our account. That's the common theme. I'm only going to base my offers based on what's in my account. Get it? There's nothing wrong feeling it because it's very normal. Here's the number one thing. If you don't make offers because you constantly worry about, I need capital, you're not going to raise any capital. Okay. And my guy Scott here was feeling that way. He's like, oh, I've got a little bit of my own money, but I don't use my own money. I'm not going to make any offers because I need to raise capital. So he made some good steps. And if he's listening, Scott, love you, brother. You're doing a great job. I'm very proud of you. And he's like many people. Hey, I'm going to go out to my local RIA clubs. That's a good thing. He went to his local RIA clubs. He started networking with people there. He started helping out. He started building a database. He went to a getaway event with some folks, 30, 40 people. He's also volunteering to help other people in the group as well. And suddenly he's got a little bit of database, but he's not making offers on deals. He's out talking to people, and he's made a few connections. It's actually funny. It's a small world of people I know. And I told, hey, go talk to them. And he started talking to these people about what he's trying to do, what he's working through notes. And he had somebody, reach out to him and say, hey, this is great stuff. But he's also, when we were talking, I'm like, let's get you making some offers. Well, I need capital. I'm not going to make any offers. Like, stop. Listen to me on this. So he's in the Dallas market, DFW area. And I got a listing of some notes from a hedge fund in California. It had like 5 or 6 deals in Texas. And I initially looked at them. I said, okay, there's a couple, 3 or 4 deals that are decent with the names. Okay. Like names, by that I mean they're near bigger cities or just outside, or they are in a bigger city, something that you can use to prime the pump. And we look at a line, the photos of the properties don't look too bad. So I said, Scott, let's have you send an email out to your database, to your people that you've built some rapport with from networking, going to RIA clubs and showing up now for 2 or 3 months, and say, hey, you've got some deals here across your desk. And he's like, okay, what do I say? So let's just say this, something simple, doesn't need to be anything long. Just say, hey guys, I've got some deals here in Texas that just came across my place. These are non-performing notes. They're vacant. We're probably going to foreclose on them. still working through numbers with a hedge fund, but just wanted to see if anybody had any lazy assets they wanted to put to work. And that's almost exactly word for word what he said. And then he included a photo, street shot from Google Maps of each asset. And that's what he sent his database, which is exactly what I told him to do. He sent it out to him, and guess what? He had 5 or 6 people that immediately responded, including one lady that had met him at a local RIA the night before, or a week before, who had been referred. She had been referred to him from another person, and she came to the RIA looking to do notes because notes are very attractive now. Now she's been a little background. She's been in the fix and flips days or lending money to fix flippers and wants to get out of that. She doesn't want to be in the toilet sends the trash out. She wants to be something more passive. So Scott has this call, and he's like, "What do I say? What do I do?" I said, "Listen, let's just have a conversation." And that conversation is something that each and everybody that's listening to this right now or watching this episode, you all can do. So you may want to pull out a pen and paper and let's just talk. It's just a conversation. Hey, what are you doing? What have you invested in? What's your background? You may need to educate folks a little bit on notes, and that's what Scott had to do a little bit. He shared about the fact that these aren't short-term deals like 90 days or 24 to 36 months. And it's a mixture of either stuff that he can buy performing, that it's just cash flowing, or it's non-performing that he gets at a bigger discount that he hopes to get performing or foreclose, take the asset back of some sort. And that it's not just him. He's got his team of vendors, attorneys, his coach, other people in our WC and crew members that he can reach out to. He's got a great network to help support him. And this investor really liked that. And that's why we say, talk about your network, especially if you're brand new. Some people won't invest with you because they're brand new, but when they find out that you've got a team of vendors to tell you what to do, what not to do, or yes, that's a good deal, or don't do that deal, that's great. And I told him, said, listen, use the 5 points that we talk about. 1 point is when we're buying first liens. Second point is we're buying at 70% of value or less. We don't do skinny deals. Third thing is vendor team, attorneys. Fourth thing, we have insurance case back to God. And number 5 is we're always reviewing collateral files and notes and servicing notes to make sure that we have the right to foreclose, that everything matches up with the assignments and the launches and stuff like that in the collateral file. And he talked about that. And she really liked the fact that he had a team. She also liked the fact that it could be passive for 24 to 30 months. So she could put her money into something and be making a decent return on investment on a quarterly basis that she didn't have to do a lot of the work with. Didn't have to worry about having to go put it to work. And that's exactly what she said. And you're going to see that if you're talking to people out there who invest stuff. Part of the challenge is the money is not the goal. The goal, he who has the goal, he or she who has the goal makes the rules. The goal is deal flow. The goal is having a deal. There's plenty of capital out there. There's plenty of scared capital right now. And a lot of people are looking for things they can put into that's going to be a great deal. And fix and flippers are having a harder time finding deals. They're worried about assets on the market longer than expected because values are dropping. Also, people don't like to go and fix and flips because it's usually in and out every 6 months, and then it's laying there in an account waiting for somebody to put it to work. So that's a pain point. And the fact that she lent money on it, she's probably somewhere between 8 to 12%, which is not bad for a first-time deal. But she did mention she had like 50 grand. Well, 50 grand is enough to get 1 or 2 notes getting working and build that relationship that Scott can use to grow more investors and take down bigger deals as she, becomes his biggest cheerleader or becomes a testimonial to her network and going from there. So those are, when you're talking with people, you got to realize it's just a conversation and it's best to role play. Take some questions. What are you investing in? What are you looking to do? How long are you looking to tie the money up for? Where's the money coming from? The fact that she said the money's coming from another fix and flip deal, it's wrapping up in 30 to 45 days. That tells me it's somewhere between 8 to 12%. And that's not a bad deal. It's a good start point. Hey, if you can buy a non-performing note and pay 8%, that's market rates on an interest rate right now. Because I really believe we'll be at 10% interest rates on mortgages here before the year's over. So as I was talking with Scott about that, you could just see the confidence in the last couple of days as he's had phone calls with her and just sharing information, and he's going to throw some deals her way. And we gave him the case studies of these potential 4 deals. I said, let's talk about these deals. Like, I'm going to talk to you like I'm talking to her. and we role played that. And then we also had some other case studies that he could use. And he's like, okay, they've agreed to have like a conversation once a week on what's coming across his plate. And that's just the beautiful thing is and this is why it's important to have deals. Deals will raise capital. If you don't have something tangible, somebody can look at, even though these 4 deals, one was in Waco, I went and drove by, and you look at the walkthrough on my YouTube channel, is just a shit house. He drove by one up in Corsicana that's basically not in a very good condition, and it's got a ghost in it. He actually filmed the ghost on camera. We talked about that in the most recent Night in America Tales from the Crypt episode. So these deals may not be ideally for, because the others are vacant, and then we waiting for condition reports to come from those. So it may be, hey, we're still looking at some stuff. And then he also pulled up a tape that he got from another hedge fund that came in his email. Say, hey, here's kind of the list, an example of the list that we get, that we go through and break down through. So that added credibility, because she could see that he had deals coming in. He could talk about specific assets, case studies, deals like that. And that's what you do. All right. He spent about 20 minutes in his terms of kind of going through the nuts and bolts of note investing, how it's different from fix and flipping, and some of the different scenarios, which is stuff that we role played and talked through. I coached him through, and he's watched videos and podcasts, and he's very coachable. And here's the thing, in his words, he's like, his engineering mindset, which a lot of us have, we have overanalyst paralysis. We overthink things, and sometimes we go run on tangents. Not saying he ran on tangents, but I know enough engineers, engineers like to break things down and overthink things in a lot of cases. Sometimes you just got to reel your mind in and focus on the black and white aspect of investing. Don't let your fears compound as you overthink things. Sometimes it's the whole KISS method. Keep it simple, stupid. Or in my terms, I say keep it simple, Scott. Keep it simple so people can understand it. If you overcomplicate sharing what you're doing with your potential investors, your database, they're not going to do anything with it because they're confused. This is why you don't want to have a diarrhea of the mouth and throw up on people everything and give them all this information, because they didn't want, they don't want to know how the sausage is made. They just want to know if the sausage tastes good. Okay? They don't want to know every little thing about every little angle. They just want to know that you've got a solution and you're the guy or gal who can solve their need. Solve their pain. Their pain for most investors out there right now is that they have money and they need to make a decent return on investment without having to do the work, without having to make the sausage. They want to eat the sausage. They don't want to make it. Okay. They don't want to know about preservatives. They don't want to see all the stuff that gets ground up into it. Nobody wants to know what's in hot dogs. If we had to make our own hot dogs, nobody would be eating hot dogs. You get what I'm saying, everybody? And if somebody's made sausage in the past, I can understand that. Okay. The sausage is good. Venison sausage. So here's the thing. Your investors don't necessarily want to know what goes into making note sausage. They want to know what the finished project looks like, or, hey, is this going to be pre-cooked, performing that I just can take it? Or am I going to cook it or hang around while you cook it in non-performing notes? That's an amazing analogy I just pulled out of my ass just now thinking about it, everybody. So thank you. But that's the thing, is if you have deals, have case studies, share it with your audience. Like I said before, your most valuable asset is your database. Now, if you don't have a database, it's easy to start building one. How do you do that? You go network, you go to BNI groups, you go to your local RIA clubs, you jump on LinkedIn, start connecting with people, you start posting about deals on there. Trust me, if you start posting about deals that you have at your closing, you're going to have people that respond to it. And those people that respond, those are the ones connect. Like I posted a deal the other day and I had 6 people respond that they've got other deals available to me. So I've already reached out to them and said, hey, what do you have? Tell me about these deals and let's see if it makes sense. Because that's one of the strongest assets that you guys have out there is you. And if you market to your database on a regular basis and you stay in touch and tell them what you're doing and share your success or share your deals that you're working through, it just takes, there's a magic formula, something magic happens after people see you doing this for a month, or they seeing you doing it on a regular basis. The first time you post something, they probably won't pay attention to it. You'll have a few likes, but you have to give people the reason and the consistency in your marketing to realize that, hey, you know what they're doing. She knows what she's doing. He knows what she's doing, or he knows what he's doing. All right. They're somebody that looks like they know what they are doing, and I can trust them because they're being honest with me. They're sharing about the situation, and they're setting realistic expectations. Not setting over realistic expectations, but under promising, but then over delivering by providing deals or case. And there's plenty of deals out there if you know where to go. But that's the thing. Most people think that the deal flow is difficult, and that raising capital is worse and harder to do than finding deals. And it's obviously it's the opposite way if you've been around. I know you probably don't believe me if you've never raised capital, but honestly, finding good deals and going through the due diligence process and making offers that make sense, that's the harder aspect versus raising capital. There's millions of dollars sitting out there. There's millions of funds available, millions of investors out there that have capital sitting on the sidelines. I mean, maybe I haven't said this in a while, but we found that 2/3 of people out there, okay, 2/3 of people that have an IRA have 150 grand or more sitting in it, okay? And if they've got money sitting in an IRA, custodian like Equity Trust, Quest, Mid-Atlantic, 40% of the funds that are on deposit with those companies are in 0% interest-bearing accounts. It's people that are interested in doing a deal. They've rolled money over to it, but they haven't pulled the trigger to find the deal. And most people are scared because they're bombarded with different options. They don't know what to do. They're looking for somebody like you who has an option, who has a strategy, has either the experience, or if you don't have the experience, you have the team that can help hold your hand in a safe way from start to finish in the deal. And that's what it's important, ladies and gentlemen. So I talk about sharing your message and using a deal, something you're working on, to raise money. I preach this all the time, and I'm always surprised at how few people will do that. But those that do share case studies to their warm market, doing on a consistent basis, and that touching point where you're building rapport with your audience by just sharing an email, sharing a post, and just being present. Maybe they're not getting a lot of engagement. Maybe you're getting a lot of people that open your email, but they're not clicking or not responding. But every time they open, every time they see a post on LinkedIn or Facebook or something like that, it is, you're basically burning that image into their mind. Why else do you think so many food companies and fast foods, they send out multiple, I mean, you watch the news or watch regular TV at night, you get bombarded with pizza or McDonald's or whatever it might be, Jimmy John's or Johnny Jim's, whatever, you see that it's burned in your head, burned in your head, burned in your head. It's branding. When you think of sandwich, or you think of burgers, or you think of, this is like the whole Hardee's things that did with the very attractive models, the bikini models and the food and all that stuff. That was to burn your mind. When you thought of hamburger or you saw a hot model, you got hungry. I don't know, maybe not. But what I'm trying to get at here is you have to kind of adopt that, not like hit them every hour, but once a day, once a week with an email, once a day with a post on social media, and definitely, keeping that going on a weekly and daily basis. Just a gentle touch, If you wait and only send an email out once a month, it's going to take you a lot longer time, 6 to 8 months, to really raise any capital. But if you're networking people on a weekly basis, an email, and then also touching up and connecting with them on socials and stuff like that, you're going to raise a lot of capital if you start talking about the deals that you're looking at, deals you're working on, and deals that will hit their hot buttons. And hot buttons are the types of deals they're looking for, potential performing or non-performing, whatever their portfolio is, an above average return, or deals in their backyard. And that could be the state, it could be the city. In Texas, it's a lot of investors. It's the big old state, the Lone Star State, which is huge. But people are investing all across the country in a lot of cases, and they're looking for deals. And deals make sense, and they trust you, and they like your systems, and they understand the numbers, that their investment will be secure because you're buying it at a cheap enough rate, and you're not doing a skinny deal. You'll have an investor that may fund multiple deals. You just got to communicate and stick with them in the long run and continue to market yourself. So that's my best suggestions for you. If you're struggling in raising capital, look for a deal, jump on a website, talk to wholesalers, send an email blast out to your database or post. But you have to do this on a regular basis. It is one of the biggest things you have to do. Otherwise, you're not really in business, and somebody else is going to take your business, because honestly, everybody that's in our database is looking for opportunities, and they might as well invest with you. If they don't invest with you, guess what? They're going to invest with somebody else. So you'd might as well market an email if it adds value with information or a deal. That's not spamming them. It's giving them something that hits their market and hits what they're looking for. So go out, take some action, connect with your database, share your deals that you're working through or deals you're coming across your plate, and you'll have a whole lot easier way of raising capital by just communicating the deal and showing your expertise and your knowledge and leveraging your network and your experience and your team or your coach, and you'll raise plenty of capital. So go out, take some action, be coachable, and we'll see you all at the top, everybody.